Hello, everyone. My name is Darlene Corbett. I'm the Unstuck expert. I hope you had a lovely Easter for those of you who celebrate Easter. And I mentioned this in Wednesday's recording. This is a few days after Easter. I didn't mention it Monday or Tuesday because I record those ahead of time. But I want to talk about gratitude today. I know I've talked about it before, but I suppose it's a subject that can't be talked about enough. There's a reason I'm bringing it up, because one way to become unstuck is by being grateful. The Roman orator, I believe he was an orator, writer, well-known, Marcus Tullius Cicero, and we recognize him by Cicero. He once stated, well, I'll say one of my favorite quotes by him: "A room without books is like a body without a soul." And that is dear to my heart. And for those of us who are bibliophiles, bookaholics, could eat books if they could, we would agree with Cicero. But for today, he said that gratitude is not only the greatest of all virtues, but the mother of all of them, or the greatest of all of them. Now, one could argue, as I've said before, that it could be other virtues. For example, Aristotle believed it was courage. I happen to believe it's love, but again, I'm not, and I've said this over and over, I'm not either one of those great people, but all the virtues have their place. But Cicero was right when he talks about gratitude, how important it is to be grateful. This weekend, I started watching The Chosen. It's a show about Jesus Christ. And I bring that up because at the beginning, you see the ancient lands of what was to be, I believe, Israel. I'm not sure if the Roman Empire. Parts of it it was Israel, not then known as Israel, but you see the rats, and you see the dusty roads. You see the Romans. I thought about it. I thought, wow, we forget how fortunate it is to be living in the now. First of all, most of us, not all of us, I understand, but in the Western world, the United States, North America, I'm sure parts of South America, much of Europe, we have running water, we have electricity, many of us can drive our cars, we have TV, we have air conditioning, we have, as I said, heat. I believe I said heat, I said electricity, but we do not know sometimes how fortunate we are. And even some of the impoverished in the United States, compared to some parts of the world, are not impoverished. So I looked around, I noticed, all of this. We have so many wonderful tools at our fingertips. Now, when I was a little girl, the internet didn't exist. Who knew? We had 3 television stations, Maine, a telephone. We had a private line, which was increasingly common, but some people had to share their telephone line. Then we acquired the answering machine. Whoa. People could leave messages. And then the rest goes on. Voicemail, cell phones. I remember as a little girl, we had those antennae, on the TV, black and white. I did not come from wealth. I didn't even come from middle class. We were low middle class, blue collar, white collar combination. At one point, we were almost poor. Well, we were before I was very young, but my parents were fortunate enough to inherit a little bit of money to get them a nice little snug as a bug ranch that I resided in growing up. Very tiny, but you know what? It didn't feel tiny. And we didn't feel poor even when times got tough. They shielded us from that, as all parents should do. Children should not be burdened by parents' problems. But I digress. I'm grateful for that, though. But I'm grateful for the fact that I'm living in the now. I'm 63 years old. I'm here on this microphone, my Blue Yeti. I'm recording something that will go on YouTube for people who choose to see it. I'm quite an unknown, but I hope my message becomes more known. And if I reach one person, I'm pleased. But I am so grateful to be able to do all this, that we don't live in the ancient times, or if maybe we did, if we're reincarnated. I used to be absolutely adamantly opposed to that idea. Now I'm not so sure. I just don't want to come back again. It's like leaving a blackjack table. For any of you who play blackjack, when you're even, you're ahead. And I have a pretty, I've had my challenges, but I'll take it. I've got health, and health is wealth. But gratitude, not only that, but I'm a lover of ancient Roman history, ancient Greek history, which, obviously, well, they kind of, I forget now, but the Greeks came first in terms of their glory. The Romans came. But much of the Romans gathered their knowledge and culture. They took it from the Greeks, I believe. I could be wrong about that. It's been a long time since I've studied it. I'm actually listening to a podcast that talks about some of that, and I really love it. But to be under the Roman Empire, especially if you were not a Roman, first of all, if you were not of the patricians or the plebeians. Now, the patricians were the noble people, the blue bloods, but they often had no money. They had name. And that's, as we know, many people nowadays, both in the United States and other places, if it's their name versus their ka-ching. To my knowledge, the plebeians were like the nouveau riche. They acquired money, but they didn't have the titles. In any event, if you were not in those categories, it was not easy living. If you were a serf, I believe they called them serfs back then, or a slave being captured from another land. And if you were under their thumb, you could be executed just like that. Many of the Jewish communities suffered under the Roman Empire. Many of the Jewish communities suffered throughout the ages, and they managed, thank God, to overcome so much. But the Christians were also suffered, for those of us that are Catholic. And I did not realize this until I saw a movie about St. Paul, that I believe it was Nero, took Christians and used them as lights to light up the Roman streets. Can you imagine? We are most fortunate and grateful to be living in the now. If you've reached the same age as me, I thank God. And I'm not saying, look at me. Sometimes I forget. But we all need to be grateful. We need to be on our hands and knees, if we believe in God, saying thank you for giving me the gift of life. If you're in your 70s and 80s, the same. I think gratitude is so important. And you know what? This is the cool thing about gratitude. When I say thank you, it makes me feel good. It doesn't just give the recipient a good feeling, often a warm feeling. I feel good. Gratitude, again, can affect in ways that you don't even always know. Just thanking someone else, being grateful for what you have. Well, you can impact someone, the good old butterfly effect, that you notice what they did, that you were grateful for what they did. As I said, many people feel invisible in our society. It's important to recognize people. We have a lot of exhibitionism going on here in our society with the world of the internet, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google, YouTube. And these are wonderful tools within reason. As long as I believe you use it to, in some ways, serve others. It doesn't have to be others. It can be also giving yourself in a way that may serve others, but also serves you. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's important to be grateful. These are just amazing times. Look again at the vaccine that we have to help us overcome, or ward off, should I say, this hideous pandemic. Who knew? But we are going to see the light more and more. More people are getting vaccinated. I got vaccinated. I'm lucky. I like the fact that I had Pfizer. I think, I would have taken any of them. I had no idea until I sat with the needle about to go into my arm. I go, which one is it? Pfizer. Oh, good. But I would have taken Moderna or Johnson & Johnson. And lucky for me, I didn't have any side effects. I had the first shot, other than a sore arm, the second shot, I got really fatigued. But other than that, yeah. So I think it's important to be grateful. I think it's important to look around and notice that nothing stays the same. If you're stuck, remember this too shall pass. And think about something you can have gratitude about. Something. Those of us that celebrate Easter are grateful for our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I sent this beautiful Easter card. There's a woman named Jackie Lawson. She sends all kinds of cards. It's not holiday specific. It's any holiday, any religion, non-holiday. But it was a gorgeous card that showed animals going over to the tomb that was opened. And no matter how much people try to disclaim that Jesus Christ, well, that he is who he is, that's fine. People don't have to believe in him. Everybody has a choice. I understand that. But they still never found his body. So whatever, whether you believe was resurrected or not, I'm sure if they did, we would all know about it. But I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for those that, whether they celebrate or not, I don't care. I'm grateful for people that care about me and I care about them. But and I don't care what they believe. We all the same. We're all going to the same place, whatever we believe, wherever that may be. I'm just grateful to be connected to wonderful people in my life. And I'm grateful to be able to be on this platform expressing gratitude. I invite you to think about something that you can feel grateful about. Something, because it will get you unstuck. It does. And it will. I'm not saying you'll be, zippity doo dah, but you will begin to feel unstuck. You'll become unstuck and then you'll feel it. Write down one thing that you can be grateful for. Give it a try and then write down another and another. How about that? All right. If you want to learn more about me, go to DarleneCorbett.com. You can also read my articles there, but there's many more on Biz Catalyst 360, where I have I'm grateful to Dennis Potoko for allowing me to post my articles, and he gives me the privilege of publishing them, as well as 60andMe, but more on 360, Biz Catalyst. And I suggest you go and see the amazing writers there. There's many, and they're just amazing. And they help remind you how much you can be grateful for. Some of them, not all. Everybody, there's different subjects. All right.